Hey, Orchard, I want to give you an update on this weekend's service. But before I do that, I just want to let you know I'm standing on the Orchard stage and something struck me, and that's this. A year ago this week was my first ever sermon as lead pastor of this church. So it's an anniversary for me right now in this moment. And what a year it's been. I mean, what a wild year. And something hit me that, my dad planted this church. And for 29 years, he sacrificed and built, along with Charlie, to build the Orchard into what it is. For 29 years, the Orchard was built up. And in under 1 year as lead pastor, I emptied the entire thing. Come on. That takes some talent. Now, I know what you're all wondering. Daniel, are we in the building this week? And here's your answer. I'm going to give you a short answer, and then I'm going to give you an explanation. The short answer is this. The elders prayed about it. God was very clear that this week we are not back in this building. We're going to do online church. Now, here's the reason why. I know that a lot of you react to that very differently. Some of you, however your reaction would be. But I want you to know that as a pastor, there's a lot of pressure from both sides to make a decision. But if you know me well enough through our journey together, you know that I don't want to make a decision based on any pressure from either side. We're going to make a decision based on presence, God's presence. We're going to make a decision based on God's purposes for us as a church. And here's the deal. Man, we love this room, don't we? Oh, we love what God's done in here. During the greeting time, remember in January when we could actually greet and you'd see a smile and you would shake a hand and you'd hug. We long to recapture what we've experienced in this room, don't we? I would guess what you want most is what you have experienced in this room. You're not just wanting to get back into a building. You're wanting to have some authentic community and connection. We long for what we've had in this place. Now, as a staff, we sat around in these chairs with our masks on to try to get a feel for what it would be like to have church in here when no smiles could be seen and no contact could be had. And it was a strange feeling. And what it would be like is we'd all walk in one door, we'd come in, we'd sit in our pods, and we would have no smiles. Well, you could smile, but no one can see it. And then we would sing through masks, no contact, no hugs, no handshakes. And then we'd listen to a sermon. And then we'd exit through another door. We couldn't linger, couldn't hang out. And that would be church. And I'm not sure if that would give us what we long for most. Again, what we long for is the connection and community. And so as elders and staff, we're coming up with some creative ways for us to engage in community that doesn't have to happen in this room for an hour on a weekend with masks and all these rules. And so here's a few ideas. We got some events coming up that you'll hear more about that are going to be creative community events. And remember, a church service is only community around truth. That's church, community around truth, Jesus' truth. And so as we look at the early church, because we're leaving Moses and the wilderness behind, and we're going to go into Acts in the early church, we're going to look at what the church looks like when Jesus launched it. When he launched it, he didn't launch it into a multi-million-dollar facility. No, they met in homes with people they loved. And so it could be for this week only. I want to challenge you and ask you to try something. And some of your growth groups are already doing this. I want you to challenge you to model right now what the early church looked like back in Acts 2. And that was this, that they would gather with family or friends or whoever they trusted. They would gather in places. I mean, you could gather in your backyard, front porch, wherever it would be where you feel comfortable. Gather together as a community, listen to the truth, experience worship, and have that connection. Have church where you are. And I think you'll find that you get a lot more connection and community out of that moment than you would get being in this room all masked up with all the ordinances we're dealing with right now. Could be wrong, but that's what we're going to try this week. I want us to have us model after the early church and what they did and see how Jesus launched his church. Now, with that, we have some other things coming up. And one of them is this. There's a lot of pain, a lot of anger in our nation right now. A lot of chaos, a lot of hurting people. And I want us to come together and pray for that. And so this Sunday afternoon, at noon, we're going to gather on the lawn to pray for our nation. And so you do church with your loved ones, with your growth group at 10 o'clock. You have your truth and your worship and your connection and community. And then show up at the lawn and let's pray for our nation. Pray that God does a healing work. Pray that God brings in changes in all the right ways. He knows, listen, what we need most is Jesus, and that he would bring to each of our hearts and to our society what we need most. And so we're going to pray for that this weekend. I would encourage you to join us at noon on Sunday in the lawn. Orchard, I love you. as your pastor. It's been 1 year. I mean, I was teaching pastor before that, but 1 year as lead pastor, and here we are. I want you to know this. I'm seeking God's heart, and I really want to know your heart as well. How can I help you? How can we help you? What are you going through? So please feel free to message us on any social media or email me, daniel@theorchardlife.com. Or you know what, if you have a prayer request, send it to orchardprayers@theorchardlife.com. We want to hear from you. We want to know how we can help you, because the truth of the matter is we love you and we miss you. We miss gathering. We're going to get through this. We're going to see what God has for us, and we're going to move when and how he asks. I promise you that. Until then, love God and love people. See you.